Welcome back to Hefe Hot Rods. Today we're working on a 57 Chevy truck on a 97 Chevy chassis. I don't have any special skills, training, big budget, a bunch of the right tools to do this stuff, but we're going to figure it out as we go. Last time around we got the rear end put in this truck, and by put in I mean just barely bolted down. Since then I've hooked the brake lines up and put some new high dollar, cheapest ones off Rock Auto, shocks on this, and now we need to address the lug nut lug stud situation on the back of this truck. When I was working on this rear diff, I just grabbed some nuts that I knew were correct for
what?
I just grabbed some nuts, some lug nuts. I grabbed some lug nuts that I knew were dually lug nuts. The problem is they were for an older dually, which has 9/16 threads, and as luck would have it, this rear end has 14 by 1.5. The difference between those two, it just feels like rusty bolts. It doesn't feel like a huge difference. So it's pretty easy to just zip, 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 and think you're cleaning threads when actually you're messing them up, and now neither size really works very good.
Oh no.
So I do have a friend that knows about metal, and he knows a lot of stuff, and I could ask him, hey, do you think I can get away with rethreading these? But I'm afraid he's not going to tell me what I want to hear, so I'm not going to ask him. I went and got this 14 by 1.5 die, which shockingly enough was in stock at my local Ace Hardware. Not a paid promotion, just it surprised me. So what we're going to do is we're going to zip these 9/16 nuts off here, and then we're going to try just cleaning up the threads of this 14 by 1.5. Normally I would do it with a lug nut. I may or may not have tried that and broke a stud and it made a mess. But anyway, yeah, that's what we're going to try and do first. We've got a kind of a laundry list of little projects that need to be finished or things checked and measured so that we can order some parts, and we're going to try and get a bunch of little stuff knocked off the list this week. So here we go. The only socket I have that's close doesn't fit it great, so it's going to be hard to tell if it's going crooked on there or if the die is going crooked. I'm not getting very much resistance, which is good, kind of like when I was putting the wrong ones on it. We're going to run out of socket depth before we get it all the way down there. But the nut's not going to go that far down anyway because the wheels are going to be on there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, all the crud in there. Some of that's paint. Some of that's other stuff. Let's go get a nut. Yeah. Oh, that's good. I mean, that's real good. Come on, baby. Go all the way on there and don't give me any trouble. You can feel a little catch here and there, but some of that's paint, like I said. Some of it's probably the rolled over threads. Some booger either put the wrong nuts on them.
Was it you? It was you, wasn't it?
That just might work. I know what you're thinking. These are some goofy looking lug nuts. I guess they're called tuner lug nuts. I had to buy a $25 socket. These are what came with the spacers that were on the truck to make the Dodge wheels fit on the Chevy axle without hitting or something. I don't know why they needed spacers for single wheels. However, we're going to need spacers for these dualies because they're a wider tire and the rubber is rubbing, and you don't want that. You don't want friction between your rear tires. So I'm going to go through and do this 15 more times and hope for the best. You guys hang tight. Well, as usual, that was more work than it should have been. For some reason, the lug nuts that went on the spacers didn't really want to go on the spacers. A lot of them were junk. They're probably just cheap. So yeah, I found the ones that worked and put those ones on there. Ironically, the ones that go on the outside of the spacers are 9/16. The ones on the inside, it came with 14 millimeter nuts to go on the truck, but 9/16 to go on the spacer. So that's extra fun. But there's what we've got now, and honestly, I'm thinking that we may be able to use a regular style GMT 800 cap on that, because with the spacer the axle doesn't stick way out. We may be able to just use a cap with the thread-on plastic lug nuts, and that may look okay. It's not going to look as good as that, but it'll look better than this, maybe, or maybe we just leave it exposed. I don't know. But now I got to do the other side. That's the one with the broken stud, and whether or not I can salvage that stud and just get it where it's not going to fall out inside the drum is my main goal, because I don't want to take that drum back off because of all the shenanigans involved in that. And if 7 won't hold it, 8 never would have. That's what Puddin would say. So that's what I'm going to go with. So now we got to get the other side apart, see how that goes. I'll bring you back if we run into anything unusual. Otherwise, I'll just holler at you when we're all done. All right, I've been working on this side for a while, and we're getting there, but I've run into a couple other issues. Like, these studs keep wanting to push through out the back, and maybe that side was doing it because it felt like I was pulling them back through as I tightened them down. I just didn't notice. But so I'm having to pull them back through. This is the busted one. I got it pulled back in enough where the splines are grabbing. I'm comfortable thinking it's not going to go back through. I got one more to do. I don't know if that die is already worn or this side's worse somehow or what, but it is working a lot harder to get her done on this side. So I just finished all but the last one, and that thing is hot enough that I don't want to touch it. So before we do this last one, we're going to go look at a couple other things. So the other day in the house I was making a little list of what's left to do to just get it so I can drive it a little bit. Cooling fans are one of the top items because I really want to finish the cooling system. I need to put fans in before I can put all the radiator stuff back together permanently and be able to drive it around the yard and up and down the road and stuff to test it and see what's going to break next. So I've determined I need electric fans because there is no room behind the radiator for a conventional fan, and we're going to have to go probably in front of the radiator. And kind of what I'm thinking is one behind and one in front. Maybe if I offset it, there'll be enough room. I don't know. It's so close. So what I did was I cut out a couple of circles based on the dimensions of the 12-inch fan, which is I think the biggest I might be able to run a pair of. And that's what these are, is two of them. I'm thinking I put one on the back and then put another one on the front, but offset them, because if they overlap, I've read that they can actually interfere with each other and it'll reduce efficiency, so they won't work as good. So I've got these two 10-inch circles, or 12-inch. Actually, they're 12 by 11 and 3/4, because that's what the dimensions say they are on the line. And we're just going to zip this front panel out so we can get to it better, and then hold these up there and see what we can see. Floppy boy! Mudflap's out here to help now. Huh? You helping by laying in the shade? It's actually only like 80 degrees, which feels fantastic compared to the 95 that feels like 105 we've had lately. So I'll take it. Don't worry about that. Way more better. There's one like there. One. Uh, 12s are going to overlap, but a 12 and a 10 might work just right. See if I can show you what I'm seeing. I should have brought tape. So you can kind of see the overlap is right here. But if this was a 10-inch diameter, then I think we'd be in better shape. Let me just play with that. If this was 10 inches from there, would it still hit the other one? If it did, it would be just barely. Yeah. So, and we still have to do front and back. Honestly, I think on the back side of this, let me just put this over there. Because if a 12 will fit, a 10 will fit for sure, right? And the thickest point on the fan is 2.5 inches at the motor. And then 1.5 inches on the inside, which is right at those water pump studs, but those could be trimmed or just put bolts in there. And that radiator wasn't sitting all the way up against it either. Like it's not perfectly set. We got 1 3/4 with the radiator sitting right. So I think if we do a 12 on the front and a 10 on the back, and we put them both on thermostats, the 12-inch is supposed to flow 2,000 CFM. The 10-inch is supposed to be like 1750 or 1700 if I remember right. And everything I've read said 3,000 to 4,000 for a big block. This radiator should be more than we need because it's a 3-pass aluminum. So everything I read about that said it should be good. I've never used an aluminum radiator before, so we'll be learning with that. Yeah. So I think we need to order a 10-inch and a 12-inch fan. So we figured that out. That's good. That's progress. Let's go see if our dye cooled down enough to touch yet. Oh yeah, it's nice and cool now. All right, last one, hopefully. On the other side, I was able to get, like a good half a turn at least before I couldn't turn it with my fingers. This side, I've been lucky to get it to just barely start to grab square. And then I've got to go to the ratchet and the impact. And I must not have the brakes adjusted this tight on this side because this drum does not want to sit still while I do this either. Luckily, I don't think heat affects the strength of metal, right?
Yeah, it does.
I'm sure it's fine. Make sure we get all our WD-40 off the threads.
Oh no, not again.
What's the right way to do this? Well, go buy another tap, die. How am I going to do it? Not that way. Got this specialized die handle. Not a ton of resistance there. That's why I think I can get away with this. Let's see. Alright, now do we have a nut that'll go on it? Alright, I'm okay with that little bit of effort. Okay, so we've got studs fixed, spacers in, duals back on the ground. We got the fans figured out so we know what we can order. Here's a question. This was really close before coming over here. It does not look like it's going to sneak by the Bel Air now. Jack this up and slide it over. Oh, no, we're good now. Like a glove.
Like a glove.
The next thing we need to tackle is cleaning up the headliner mess inside, finish removing it, and then seeing if the OBS truck gauges will fit behind the opening for the 57, just for a temporary thing. I don't know that I can stand to go that ghetto on it, but I mean, maybe it'll look good and we will. So let's take a look. The sad thing is this headliner was okay before I started, but when I put the cherry picker against it, I gave it a little tweak, and I think that was all it needed to fall apart. But by the looks of it, it was probably due to come down, right? How many years? My goodness. that's yucky. We're going to put that outside. We're going to save it for a template in case we can make our own. That's really messy. It's all over in here too. It's pretty bad. See if I can scrape this without getting completely under it. Oh! I'm sure there's no asbestos in that. What a mess. Let's see if we can get that instrument cluster out. I've had it out of there once before, so I know it'll come out. There's not a lot of room in there. Let's go get that big honkin' 97. This is the 97 instrument cluster, and I think most of it worked. So it's not going to go through that hole. But it might be able to go through there if the ignition switch wasn't in the way from the back. Maybe. There's 60-year-old cigarette butts in here. That's cool. I'm not sure it's worth the trouble to make it fit. I mean, we might be able to make it fit, or I could get a little heads-up display deal that just plugs into the OBD2 port and go that way, which is kind of the way I was leaning. So I think we'll just say no thank you to the OBS instrument cluster. I pay no attention to the messy bench. Let's see what we can do here. I am taking apart the instrument cluster to see if I can put the 57 bezel back in with modern gauges behind it without spending $500 to do it. Oh yeah. It's amazing how serviceable things were back then. I wonder how big that is. I wonder if we could just set it behind that. That would be so cool. So this opening is roughly 6 inches by 1 3/4. So 6 1 3/4. Flappy boy, you ready to go in? That might be a neat way to go if I can work it. I think that's going to be it for today. I'm kind of out of time, so we'll be back at it in the morning. Right back. Okay, so yesterday I think we left off with the gauges. Let me show you what I noticed this morning. I just grabbed a hold of this, and this guy will lift out. So what that means is if I get my little gauge package, it doesn't have to necessarily be seen through here. We could take that off and it could be seen through there. And I'd probably just leave the numbers on there because I think it'd be neat. Again, this is a temporary thing until my budget allows me to get nice gauges for it, which could be a long time. But you can get like a $60 OBD2 port plug-in gauge thing that's supposed to read everything. So some of the reviews say it works great. Other ones say only certain ones will work for these older ones, like the 97. So I think it's worth a shot because the triple gauge package with oil and temperature and battery, just the generic cheapo ones, are $30, $40 sometimes. So if I can get that one and it reads speedometer, tachometer, and then the 3 main engine monitoring, that would be pretty good. So yeah, that way I wouldn't have to do GPS on my phone for speedo and wouldn't have any idea what the RPMs were. I like having a tach. What are you doing, Pan Kitty? You coming to be the new shop cat? The shop dog's not much good. Okay, Pan, you're hired. As long as you stick around. He won't stick around. He's a mighty jungle cat. Something I noticed, so this morning I've been out here, as evidenced by the sweat already. I got the driveline put back in and kind of cleaned up tools and stuff, put stuff away. But something that I think Maverick pointed out, or maybe Wyatt pointed out, it kind of looks like those wheels are sitting at an angle. And it kind of looks like they're sitting at an angle on this side. And I put a level against the outside, and it definitely says that they're going like this. But there should be more bulge on the bottom. I don't know if there really is. My question is, based on that perceived unequal situation, and the fact that the axles didn't want to slide in this, you think that axle tube, axle housing is bent? Because that would make sense. I didn't really think about that because I thought, how much weight would you have to put on this in order to bend one of those? I mean, I never considered it because it's a 14 bolt. They're nearly indestructible, right? But it did have concrete all over it. It came out of a 1-ton 6.5 diesel, which isn't a powerhouse, but it was in a concrete truck. And I don't know if you've ever seen guys using a concrete truck. They're not exactly gentle to them. So my question is, did I just waste all my time and money putting this axle together and it is bent? I don't even know how to check for that, honestly. I don't know if you can put a square in here against the center section. I don't know if it can be unbent. I'm betting not. Or do I need to look for a new axle and transfer all my new parts over to that? Another dually axle, and then swap it out again. I mean, I should be good at it now, right? I don't know. Anyway, we're not going to worry about that today. This should get it rolling around the yard enough to do what I needed to do, at least in the yard, on and off the trailer I want to go to a couple car shows with it, now that it's more together than it was last year. So let's keep plugging along here. So we've got answers on our gauges. I think budget permitting, we will order a little gauge pod to put behind that. We got the answers on the cooling fans, right? So we can order cooling fans. I'm pretty sure I have enough money saved up for that. Really need 2 more tires for the front of this, but yeah, it might be tires or cooling fans, and I need the cooling fans in order to finish putting together the radiator and all the radiator hoses and stuff. So I might get our fans first. We need to still do inner fenders, so we got somewhere to put all that stuff. We need to work on our grounds and our wiring. really just hiding wiring, because a lot of this is going to stay. But we need to put it away, mark the unmarked ones. Yeah. So, what do we do next? I don't know. What do we do next? Let's go look at our list, because I thought I had it figured out. Oh, here's another problem. I flipped these bolts around so that you could remove them without taking the bed off. Well, as you can see, that's hitting there. Probably not going to be a real problem, but I think what I'll do is just trim this off on both sides. And that way I'll still be able to pull it out and it should clear. Is that the right way to do it? Probably not, but that's what I'm going to do. I don't think it'll hurt anything, or I wouldn't do it. So we got cooling fans, hood latch. Oh, hood latch. Let's look at that. Maybe some of you can tell me. A hood latch for this truck is $100, like 90 to $100, which is silly to me. But, you know, most of the time people working on these trucks have money, I guess. My question is, I have found all these little springs. I have found a kit that includes those little springs for a 57 Chevy car, and allegedly, I believe they look like they're the same ones as these. Or can I just put these back on? But my question is the 57 Chevy car one the same as this one? Because if that's it, then I can get a spring kit for like $22. And that seems good to me. $100 for a hood latch when this is mechanically still pretty sound seems like too much. So let me know what you think about that. And we may be ordering springs, or maybe we'll just fight with those springs since I've got them. If I can go get an internet picture of what it's supposed to look like, because I took it apart too long ago now to remember. Because that's, oh no, this clock spring is broken. That's why I was going to do the spring kit. So, is that the same? Can I order it? Will that fix me up? Alright, let's go back to our list. Flabby boy and the pan kitty. Pan kitty. Pan kitty. Kitty kitty. Come here, pan kitty. Oh, nice kitty. Oh, nice pan kitty. Oh, nice. You jealous, Mudflap? You jealous? You jealous of the kitty? Boy, it's a nice kitty. Yeah. Go get the Mises. Oh, the flappy boy. Alright. Alright, cooling fans, hood latch, exhaust, we'll figure that out later. I'm debating whether to cut the cats off or not. I think it'll sound better without them, but then I've got to get more pipe, and they don't end in the same place, so it adds a little bit of complication. Gauges, I think we have a plan. Steering wheel, I hate that steering wheel in it, but it works for now. Based on budget, I think it's going to stay. We need taillights, headlights, which we have all the wiring for. We'll just have to get 12-volt bulbs to put in those sockets. We'll need signals, inner fenders and interior wiring. Interior wiring we've already talked about. Inner fenders we've already talked about. So I guess the question is just, what do I want to work on today? Because we've only got a few hours and then I need to wrap this up. So maybe we should work on this rat's nest of wiring in here and see if we can get that cleaned up a little bit and at least make it look better, get an idea where everything's going to go. Some of this is going to end up needing some metal fab because I want to make a panel and put over here to mount the fuse box on, if it'll reach, if I don't have to stick it up underneath. So yeah. So maybe we'll fight with this wiring and figure it out. I don't really want to replace like this. Oh, I've got that zip tied there. The headlight switch, you know, I could tuck it up under so I wouldn't have to look at it, but I could make it work and just use the factory 97 one. The fuse box, I only see one mounting point, which means probably it was a GM like click and place kind of deal, which is not super helpful. I don't really want to leave it dangling somewhere, but that may be a temporary solution. What do we got here? OBD2 port. We got a whole bundle right here that don't have anything marked on them, and I just hacked them off. Brilliant.
You idiot!
Okay. Don't know what that goes to. Some of them we might be able to figure out based on location. Some of them we may have to go through the book. Interior lights. That's a good one to mark. This, I believe, is the gauge cluster for 97. We may just confirm that and then tape it. Mark it with some tape so that we know. I don't know whether that's lighter socket or something else. We may just change how those are zip tied for now, because I think these are all going to be, I think these are lights or lighter socket. I think those are probably lighter sockets. What's this guy? HVAC. So that one's probably HVAC. That's a light bulb. Yeah, we may tie some of these up a little more and then, you know, just square that away a little bit. I really probably should get this park brake mounted so that it's not floating around everywhere. Oh, that's another fuse and relay box back there. I forgot that was there. There's something tied up with twine. Oh, there's a welding glove behind it. Okay. Alright. That's really loose in there. That's where the main wire harness comes through. I didn't realize that was in that condition. Cool. Why is that loose like that? Of course, I'm not going to be able to see from up here because there's too much other crap in the way. I think that's, yeah, that's that guy. Why are you loose like that? Huh. I don't see any immediate reason for that to be loose like that. Cool. Mud flap! So, I guess let's work on this stuff a little bit and see if we can figure out at least a better way to do this stuff that's all in this area. I really don't know why that's unsecured like that. What's this down here? Just more of the wiring harness. Yeah. Looks like I did some good zip tie work in here. Is there any zip tie work that's not good? Only if you don't cut them straight. I know this pliers provides a good ground. This can go up and over. Probably ought to wrap that up because I would imagine some of that probably has voltage. Let's just find out. Yep. Yeah, so we're going to wrap that up so it doesn't just touch something, cause a problem. Because when the key's on, some of these have power. I had a real nice set of crimpers. Once my boys started working in my shop, they disappeared. Alright, these are just garbage. What do you think? Wiring's done.
I'm good.
Yeah, I got several hot wires over here. They're just hanging. I was gonna put bullet connectors on them, but
Put a wire nut on them and took them.
there you go. Wire nuts are good. My good crimpers have been MIA for several years now. I need to just go buy another set.
Just put a sunroof in this.
Don't do that too hard. I just cleaned a bunch of crap off that was falling down.
Oh.
The headliner fell down. I'm sure it was full of asbestos.
Forbidden cotton candy.
The forbidden cotton candy. What's this? Boop, boop.
It's a starter button.
Could be. Choke. That's the choke me daddy button.
Choke me, daddy.
Yeah. Stop choking. I don't know what that one does. I really don't know what any of these do, if I'm being honest. Just choke. Come on, baby.
Give that a shot.
That starter does not sound happy. It could just be voltage, though. I hope it's just voltage. I don't need another new problem. There she is. Can't let her run long because there's no coolant in it. That'll help you feel a little better about what's going on, right? That's enough tomfoolery, alright? Whew. I was worried there was another new problem. Alright, that might be it for this week. Let's kind of go over what we figured out. We got the drive shaft in. We got all the lug nuts rethreaded on these drums. And the spacers put on and the wheels on, so we got ample space between our tires. We figured out what fans we need to order, a 12 and a 10. We figured out that we can get away with one of the plug-in instrument cluster dealios we can mount down in yonder way in amongst all of our custom metal fabrication. We got wires kind of tied up out of the way. I need to go to town and just get some good crimpers again. You saw me try 3 times to crimp that connector, or 4, 17, I don't know, a bunch. It should only take once. So we got to get that figured out. We did a bunch of cleanup inside, got that headliner pulled out. What else did we figure out? I feel like we did more than that. I know I've got we're about 8 or 10 hours in now. Now that might be all we got done. But we may have figured out that axle tube is bent. Yeah. When you look at those tires, they might both sides be bent, but this side seems worse. That's really upsetting. Fortunately, all the parts I put on this should just roll right over to another 14 bolt, but that means finding another one that's the right width. Yeah. And I don't know how to figure out. I don't know how to easily tell when you're looking at a used one whether it's bent or not. I mean, you try and pull the axle out and then slide it back in, and if it doesn't go in, then you know it's bent. Because that all makes more sense now that I'm suspicious of this new problem. Yeah. So we didn't make a ton of progress this week, but we figured out some things so we can order parts, and we did make some progress cleaning up. I mean, obviously there's more cleaning up to be done now because I've made new messes, and we got to get some bullet connectors and a bunch of tools picked up. But overall, not bad progress. I mean, for basically one day's work, I'm not hurt by it. This cluster, it's cool how it comes apart, how everything was serviceable back then. I love that. I lost that screw. I'm sure it's in the cab probably, right? So we'll play with that some more. Yeah, we'll go from there. But for right now, I'm going to go have some lunch, and we'll see you guys in a little bit. If you like what we're doing, check out the other videos, see how we got it to where we're at. Check out the rear end videos and see if you would have recognized this problem before I did. Remember to click like, comment, subscribe, come back and see us again. And as always, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.